He's the most famous, most studied pharaoh in history. But even today, Tutankhamun's treasures still have much to reveal.
Hidden inside King Tutankhamun's tomb were two tiny mummies most people never noticed. For decades, they were ignored and forgotten. Then, science finally spoke. DNA from these fragile bodies revealed a truth Egypt once tried to erase, rewriting a royal story filled with pain and secrets long buried from history itself. What were these children really hiding? Let's find out. The quiet box that changed everything. In 1922, Howard Carter unlocked the sealed entrance to King Tutankhamun's tomb, captivating the world's fascination with gold. The rapid spread of the news ignited imaginations of hidden treasures that had been hidden for millennia. Stepping into the tomb was like entering into a surreal world filled with exquisite beauty, including royal chariots, luxurious furniture, gem-covered shrines, and the breathtaking golden mask that continues to awe people today. This astonishing find remains unrivaled in the field of archaeology, solidifying Carter's place in history. Due to the brilliance and radiance, attention was drawn towards the largest and most dazzling items. Photographs were taken, journals were packed with drawings and observations of gold. However, amid the fascination with wealth, a tiny and unassuming entity lurked in the background. It did not glitter, it did not demand notice, yet it held a more profound narrative than any royal crown or precious gemstone. Buried within the tomb was a tiny chamber called the treasure room. Inside, Carter discovered a plain wooden chest. There was no gold decoration, no colorful paint, and no intricate symbols denoting authority or opulence. Surrounded by countless riches, the box appeared modest and unassuming, initially lacking significance. Two-minute coffins were found inside the box, placed next to each other. These coffins were so tiny that they could be cradled in someone's arms. One of them measured just over 19 inches in length. Both coffins had been carved from a single solid block of wood, showing great attention to detail, although lacking any embellishments. Upon being opened by Carter and his group, they made a surprising find. Inside each small coffin was yet another coffin, a silent mystery nested within another mystery. The inner coffins were covered in delicate gold foil. The tiniest mummies discovered in Egypt were encased in linen fabric. They were not infants who had experienced life and death, but rather unborn individuals. Two young girls who never had the chance to breathe. One was at approximately 5 months of gestation, while the other was further along, estimated to be between 7 and 9 months. The latter was nearly prepared to enter the world, almost at the brink of experiencing life. King Tutankhamun is the father of these daughters. During a grand burial ceremony, a profound sense of sorrow could be felt beneath the display of strength and prestige. The youthful monarch, who reigned briefly, had already endured the loss of his offspring prior to his own passing. This melancholic event remained concealed amidst opulence, often overlooked as an insignificant side note in history. The perplexity continued beyond that point. The bands encircling the small coffins were inscribed with the name of Queen Tiye, Tutankhamun's grandmother. This left early investigators puzzled. Speculation arose about the true relationship between the children and the young king. Some theorized they were placed there for ceremonial purposes. It was believed by some that they represented a new beginning for the king in the afterlife. Clarity eluded everyone, leaving the truth shrouded in mystery. Due to the lack of clarity surrounding the two small mummies, they were relocated to the Cairo School of Medicine and kept safely out of sight. They were not put on display for the public or included in any popular exhibitions that captivated audiences globally. Instead, they were regarded as a mystery without answers, allowed to remain undisturbed in quiet seclusion. Almost 100 years went by. In the year 2008, a significant shift occurred in Egypt. Zahi Hawass, the country's leader in antiquities, revealed an ambitious project. A state-of-the-art DNA lab was being constructed with a price tag of $5 million. The primary goal of this lab was to analyze the royal mummies from ancient Egypt. Scientists would employ modern techniques to examine King Tutankhamun's mummy for the very first time. Additionally, they would conduct tests on the two small mummies found in a wooden box, marking a groundbreaking moment in history. The objective appeared straightforward: determine the validity of the children's paternity. However, there was a significant level of risk associated with the project. As time passes, ancient DNA deteriorates, becoming delicate and dispersed. Additionally, the potential for contamination from those who had come into contact with the mummies raised concerns. Certain experts expressed skepticism about the likelihood of success, worried that the results could be unreliable. Nevertheless, the team continued with their efforts. With precision, they meticulously drilled into the compact bones of the small figures in order to locate pristine samples. The discovery did provide a solution to the initial query. It was confirmed that the youngsters were indeed descendants of King Tutankhamun. However, this revelation marked just the initial stage of the investigation. The true revelation was significantly bigger and even more foreboding. In those abandoned corpses, the DNA unveiled a gateway to the full ancestral background of the king. It exposed long-concealed truths that had been deliberately removed from history. The genetic code provided insights into the king's health issues. It brought clarity to his marital situation and the abrupt end of his royal lineage. So what secrets did these fetuses unveil? Let's dive in. The Fragile King. The golden mask of Tutankhamun is a well-known symbol, but only a minority understand the true essence of the person it belonged to. Tutankhamun was not a powerful ruler on the battlefield, nor did he leave a legacy of grand architectural achievements or victorious wars. His life was characterized by brevity, solitude, and suffering, hidden beneath a facade of opulence and splendor. Despite his lavish surroundings, Tutankhamun was a delicate individual burdened by the physical toll of his royal lineage. In 2005, researchers examined his preserved body with advanced imaging techniques. Their objective was straightforward: to unravel the mystery surrounding his death. Long-held beliefs suggested foul play, with speculation of a fatal blow to the head from a trusted acquaintance. However, the scans debunked this theory, as no evidence of a traumatic injury was found. The hole in his skull, as revealed by the scans, was a result of the mummification process rather than a violent act. The scans uncovered a truly tragic truth. Tutankhamun was born weak. Despite being around 5 feet 6 inches in height, his body lacked strength. His left foot was severely twisted, with his toe bones deteriorating. Each step would have been excruciating as he struggled to walk normally. The limp he endured was a constant reminder of his physical suffering. Evidence of this was discovered within his burial site, where more than 130 walking sticks were unearthed. These canes were not merely decorative accessories signifying authority, but rather practical aids that showed signs of heavy usage. The handles were worn smooth from frequent grasp, while the tips were worn down from regular contact with the ground. It was apparent that this monarch, despite his youth, required assistance to walk and move around even before reaching full maturity. During his era, artworks often depict him in a seated position, a departure from the usual portrayal of kings standing upright. His preference for sitting was not due to personal comfort, but rather out of practicality. Other issues were visible in the scans as well. A cleft palate was present, causing challenges with speech and eating due to a gap in the roof of his mouth. Additionally, his spine exhibited an abnormal curvature, putting constant pressure on his body. These difficulties were a burden he bore throughout his brief existence. His passing was not a sudden occurrence, but rather the culmination of various vulnerabilities converging. Prior to his death, he experienced a fracture in his left leg, which had been a source of discomfort for him previously. The break was significant and located near his knee, posing a serious threat in a time without proper medical treatments for infections. The situation took a turn for the worse when it was discovered that he was afflicted with a severe strain of malaria. With his body already weakened, he was unable to combat both the injury and the illness simultaneously. He passed away at around 19 years of age. His wife experienced a similar destiny in a different manner. Tutankhamun was not only his consort but also his half-sibling. The purpose of their union was to maintain the purity of royal lineage and ensure the continuity of the dynasty. When they wed, they were both very youthful, still considered children who were given the responsibility of ruling over a large empire. They both inherited the same flawed genetic line. They made efforts to conceive a child. They made 2 attempts, but unfortunately, both were unsuccessful. One pregnancy ended in a loss during the early stages, while the other ended just before the child's birth. They lost 2 daughters who never got the chance to live. This was more than just a failure for the royal family. It was a personal tragedy for the young couple who had hoped to have a family of their own. After the death of Tutankhamun, Ankhesenamun found herself without a companion. Despite her young age, she was in the midst of influential male figures vying for supremacy. Anxious about the prospect of being coerced into marrying a servant who aspired for the throne, she made a desperate attempt to seek refuge outside of Egypt. Unfortunately, her elaborate scheme proved fruitless, as the individual dispatched to aid her never made it to her side. Ultimately, she disappeared from historical records. Her name slowly became forgotten. Her words were no longer heard. The dynasty came to an end with her absence. But what made this family so sick? Why did they look too fragile? Stick around. A kingdom painted strange. Modern science has revealed a hidden truth that goes beyond just King Tutankhamun. It also sheds light on his father, a king so unique that future rulers attempted to erase his existence from history. Known as Akhenaten, he remains a highly controversial figure in ancient history. Each aspect of his reign and portrayal of his family in art was distinctive and unconventional. Before Akhenaten, Egypt believed in multiple deities for thousands of years. These gods were associated with different aspects of life and death. Amun, the sun god and king of the gods, wielded immense power. Osiris oversaw the afterlife, while Isis represented magic and healing. Many other gods were worshipped as well. The priests who served these gods held significant authority. In Thebes, the priests of Amun were particularly wealthy and influential, at times even competing with the pharaoh for power and control. When Akhenaten ascended to the throne, he caused a huge upheaval. He proclaimed that the traditional deities were no longer to be revered. He asserted that only Aten, symbolized by the radiant sun disk, was the rightful deity. This shift was not just religious in nature. It also had significant political ramifications. By eliminating the old gods, Akhenaten weakened the influence of the clergy and concentrated all power in himself as the sole representative of Aten on earth. He took an even more extreme step by leaving Thebes, a city with a long history of religious significance. He moved his entourage deep into the desert and gave instructions for a brand new city to be constructed from scratch. This new city was named Akhetaten, signifying the expanse where the sun god Aten would be worshipped. Presently, this location is known as Amarna. The city swiftly developed, featuring temples that allowed in natural light, luxurious residences for the upper class, and areas specifically designated for the adoration of the sun deity. Something truly unusual emerged in Amarna. The art from this era defied traditional Egyptian standards. In the past, pharaohs were depicted as flawless and powerful beings. However, Amarna art shattered these norms. Akhenaten's depiction included a face that was elongated, a neck that was slender, and a stomach that was gently rounded. His wide hips, delicate appearance, and ambiguous gender traits were surprising in a society that valued physical strength and proportion. Queen Nefertiti, who was married to him, had a graceful and beautiful appearance, with a calm and elegant face. Their offspring, particularly their 6 daughters, were frequently depicted. These children were portrayed with elongated skulls and slender limbs, engaging in playful activities around their parents, sitting on their laps, and seeking their affection. This level of intimacy within a royal family had seldom been depicted in art previously. For years, scholars grappled with interpreting these images, speculating on whether the family's peculiar appearance could be attributed to a genetic anomaly. The elongated heads and slender bodies prompted various theories, with many considering genetic factors as the most likely explanation. However, tangible evidence to support these theories was never found. The strange art of Amarna was not just a style. It was a reflection of a ruler who rejected the past and tried to reshape the world in his own image. It showed a family unlike any before, tender yet fragile. When Akhenaten passed away, his ideas were quickly erased. His city was abandoned. His name was scratched from monuments. His art was buried. What made the mystery deeper was the absence of sons in the art. Akhenaten and Nefertiti are shown with their daughters again and again, but no boys appear beside them. This raised a troubling question. If they had only daughters, then where did Tutankhamun come from? the boy king finally revealed. For an extended period of time, the ancient history field grappled with a persistent question. The true identity of Tutankhamun remained shrouded in mystery. Despite the widespread recognition of his golden mask, his exact position within the royal family remained vague. Although his original name offered some clues, concrete evidence was lacking. This mystery lingered in obscurity for millennia, biding its time for the opportune moment to unravel. It is a known fact that Tutankhamun did not always go by the name he is famously known for. Originally named Tutankhaten, his first name translates to the representation of the Aten's living form. This name connected him to the extraordinary and influential religious shift of Amarna and associated him with the unorthodox ruler Akhenaten. However, the exact nature of this connection remained unclear, with some speculating Tut's relationship to Akhenaten as a possible son, while others suggested a more distant familial tie for convenience. The reality of their connection was obscured by incomplete records and obliterated historical evidence. Upon Akhenaten's death following a reign of 17 years, his entire empire quickly crumbled. The religious transformation he had initiated perished with him. The once marginalized priests of Amun swiftly regained control, displaying ruthlessness in their actions. A boy of merely 9 years was seized and anointed as the next ruler. The individual in question happened to be Tutankhaten. Shortly after, he had to alter his name. Tutankhaten transformed into Tutankhamun, embodying Amun. This name change carried significant weight, symbolizing the demise of Aten and the resurgence of the ancient deities. The young ruler was instructed to depart from Amarna. The once bustling city in the desert was deserted, eventually succumbing to the elements as sand encroached upon its temples and residences, causing the city to be forgotten over time. The successors of Akhenaten were resolute in eliminating all traces of his existence. They demolished temples dedicated to him, shattered statues, and obliterated his name and likeness from walls. In official records, his rule was omitted, as if the timeline went from his father directly to Tutankhamun. This deception endured for almost 3 millennia. As a result of the devastation, the lineage of the royal family became convoluted. There was uncertainty surrounding the true identity of Tutankhamun's mother. The Keo ruler alongside Akhenaten, Smenkhkare, was shrouded in mystery. Deliberately damaged records added to the confusion, with the intention of causing uncertainty. Modern scientists entered a fractured world, facing a significant challenge in their study of 2 small mummies. Their mission was to uncover a hidden truth that had been concealed by kings who were afraid of the consequences. Despite the prepared laboratory, the ancient DNA held closely guarded secrets that were not easily revealed. The hidden sister behind the throne. In 2008, the announcement by Zahi Hawass regarding the testing of royal mummies caused quite a stir globally. This move was considered significant as the lineage of a pharaoh is a highly contentious issue in ancient history. There were concerns among experts about the possibility of errors, hasty conclusions, or findings influenced by external factors rather than facts. The burden of expectations was immense right from the beginning. Hawass had been against foreign teams examining Egypt's royal remains for a long time, insisting that Egyptians should be the ones to conduct the research on their own land while respecting history. A state-of-the-art clean laboratory, funded by the Discovery Channel with a $5 million budget, was constructed within the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. Its purpose was to combat contamination, the primary obstacle to studying ancient DNA. Ancient DNA is delicate and easily damaged over time, breaking into small fragments. Additionally, these mummies have been handled, analyzed, and relocated numerous times since their initial find. Each individual who came into contact with the mummies unknowingly left behind traces of their own DNA, resulting in modern DNA overshadowing the ancient remains like a layer of dust. Locating the authentic genetic material within the ancient DNA was likened to searching for a single pristine grain of sand amidst a pile of dirt. Due to this reason, numerous specialists had reservations about the project. A few cautioned that without verifying the outcomes in another lab, errors might occur. Nonetheless, the project continued to progress. The team was aware of the importance of being cautious, deliberate, and accurate. With precise imaging technology, researchers carefully examined every mummy to determine the optimal location for obtaining samples. Delving into the thick bone structure, they targeted areas where ancient genetic material was most likely to be preserved. The individuals at the center of this mysterious royal lineage were each analyzed in succession. The initial discovery was Tutankhamun, followed by 2 small mummies found in his burial chamber. Subsequently, there was an unusual male mummy unearthed in tomb K55 in 1907. The sarcophagus had been vandalized and his identity obliterated. There was much debate for years regarding his true identity. 2 women were discovered in a different tomb known as Cave 35. They were casually laid out on the ground. One of them was an elderly woman who was believed to have royal lineage due to her facial features and hair. The other woman was younger, but her face was severely disfigured. She was only referred to as the younger lady. No one knew who she was. The bone samples were brought into a sanitized laboratory. Researchers were on the lookout for 16 genetic indicators that could indicate familial relationships. The process required a lot of time and perseverance. Gradually, the solution started to surface. The initial significant finding came from examining the 2 small mummies. The genetic material proved to be a perfect match with Tutankhamun. There was no ambiguity. It was indisputable that they were his offspring. This revelation solidified the private sorrow concealed within the gleaming burial chamber. The team then expanded their understanding. It was determined that the older woman was indeed Queen Tiye, the spouse of Amenhotep III, and the grandmother of Tutankhamun. The mummified body found in KV55 was confirmed to be her son, which could only mean that he was Akhenaten, the king known for his radical beliefs. Finally, Tutankhamun's father was positively identified. One query lingered: whom did Tutankhamun's mother give birth to? The response was provided by the younger woman. The results of her genetic testing uncovered a surprising revelation. Contrary to previous beliefs, she was not Nefertiti, nor was she a lesser-known wife or outsider. Surprisingly, she was identified as Akhenaten's biological sister, being born to Amenhotep III and Queen Tiye, thus sharing the same lineage as her brother. Tutankhamun's lineage traced back to a union between siblings. This one revelation clarified a lot of things. It clarified the boy king's frail physique and his numerous health issues. It elucidated the reason behind his children's miscarriages. The fragility in the royal lineage was no longer a puzzle. It stemmed from years of intermarriage within the family to maintain the purity of authority. The young woman remained anonymous in history, her name lost to the past like many others. Despite this, her physical remains held the untold story that no tool could obliterate. She was the unknown sibling, the overlooked parent, the ultimate puzzle piece that was never found. The secret was no longer buried in sand or stone. It was written in the bones themselves. A royal family that tried to shape gods and history could not escape nature. The sibling secret ended the mystery and revealed the quiet, painful truth behind Egypt's most famous king. So how did this union between siblings shape Tut's future? The golden boy who never had a chance. For a century, gold captivated the world. We were mesmerized by the brightly decorated face, the lustrous vehicles, and the myriad of exquisite items entombed with a youthful monarch. The treasure fueled our fantasies, leading us to craft an idealized narrative. A regal young king adorned in gold reigning over Egypt at its peak, tragically passing away unexpectedly. After the excavation team members passed away, rumors of a curse spread. Some believed there was a mysterious power guarding the tomb, with an ominous message etched in the silence of the burial chamber. The tale was both exciting and scary, capturing the attention of the global audience. The reality was quite the opposite. There was no mystical hex placed upon him. There was no divine retribution. The true sorrow did not adorn the tomb walls. It resided within Tutankhamun himself. The genuine tale did not revolve around mystery. It focused on the realm of science, and it was more sorrowful than any myth. In 2010, a group of scientists accomplished a task that had never been achieved by archaeologists. Utilizing a portable DNA lab, they delicately extracted samples from Tutankhamun's remains and those of his family members. The discovery was not merely a revelation, but rather a long-hidden family revelation dating back over 3 millennia. The results of the DNA analysis pieced together all the fragmented aspects of Tutankhamun's life, providing a clear depiction of his parentage. It was revealed that his father was the mummy discovered in tomb K555, identified as the heretic king Akhenaten, while his mother was the mummy referred to as the younger lady found in tomb K535. Following that revelation, everything was altered forever. The young woman was not part of Akhenaten's numerous marriage partners. She was his sibling from both parents. Tutankhamun was born from a close relationship between a brother and a sister. This alliance was not simply a strategic union to maintain authority. It resulted in severe genetic consequences. The unusual artwork from the Amarna period started to make sense all of a sudden. Scholars have been debating the unique depictions of Akhenaten's reign for an extended period. The royal family was depicted with elongated skulls, slender necks, gentle stomachs, broad hips, and bodies that were almost feminine. This was a stark deviation from the robust and flawless forms of previous rulers. There were numerous explanations put forward. Some thought the artwork was symbolic, representing a spiritual connection to the sun god Aten. Others speculated that the royal family may have been afflicted with uncommon illnesses. The discussion took a completely different turn due to the findings of the DNA analysis. Different diseases were eliminated as possibilities, but a more severe condition was diagnosed. The artwork was not a figment of the imagination or symbolic. Rather, it depicted the physical harm resulting from decades of inbreeding within a family, culminating in the extreme example of siblings producing offspring together. What if Akhenaten viewed these characteristics positively instead of as negative traits? Could it be that he perceived them as indications of being divinely favored? Perhaps he believed that his unusual physical features and skull were evidence that he and his family were specifically selected by the sun god. From this perspective, the artwork takes on a darker tone. It transforms into a form of propaganda that glorifies the very deterioration that would ultimately lead to the downfall of his dynasty. All of it was passed down to Tutankhamun. Every sickness, every vulnerability, every ache in his brief existence finally had a rationale. From birth, he was delicate. His severe clubfoot wasn't just a minor inconvenience. It was a debilitating condition that contorted his left foot, causing agony with each step. The over 130 walking sticks discovered in his burial site weren't merely tokens of power. They were necessary implements for his mobility. Numerous canes exhibited evidence of extensive wear and tear. This wasn't a royal figure charging into combat with a chariot. Instead, it was a young boy grappling to find his footing. His foot bones were found to be compromised and debilitated during the scans. One bone was deteriorating gradually because of insufficient blood circulation, resulting in a constant state of pain. The curvature of his spine contributed to his overall discomfort. His body was experiencing daily stress and strain. He also had a cleft palate, a fissure in the top of his mouth. This may have hindered his ability to speak and made him more susceptible to regular illnesses. Breathing and consuming food likely posed challenges for him. Even items found in his burial site, such as seeds and herbs thought to provide relief from pain, hint at a childhood filled with discomfort. He had delicate bones that were prone to breaking with little force. His body lacked the ability to properly heal itself. Genetically speaking, his destiny was sealed even before he was born. This was not a matter of fate, but rather a result of genetic inheritance. His death tells a different story with the revelation of this truth. There was no foul play involved, nor was there any hint of a curse. It was simply the inability of his body to withstand both injury and illness simultaneously. After breaking his leg and then contracting a severe case of malaria, his already weakened immune system was unable to mount a defense. All of this was concealed by the golden mask. A child was born into a turbulent family, surrounded by disorder and burdened with heavy responsibilities at a young age, despite his outward appearance of beauty. He endured suffering throughout his life, briefly held power, passed away prematurely, and left behind children who never truly experienced life. The true sorrow of Tutankhamun does not lie in his death, but rather in the missed opportunity to experience a full life. What do you think about the fetus mummies? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more of these discovery videos. Before you go, watch the other videos on your screen.